Добрий день.
Good afternoon. Olga Atamanova is with you, and I want to thank everybody who joined us. The media center of Ukraine, Ukrinform, continues its operation. Today is day 251 of heroic resistance of the Ukrainian people. The brief schedule of our events for today: at 14:30 we will have Andrei Klemenko with us. He's the head of monitoring group of the Institute for Black Sea Strategic Studies, and we will talk about the situation about the grain corridor. At 1500, Dmytro Solomchuk will join us. He's the member of Verkhovna Rada and the member of Verkhovna Rada's Agrarian and Land Policy Committee. And we will talk about Russia's food blackmailing. At this moment, we're having Serhii Khlan going live with us, deputy of the Kherson Oblast. Good afternoon. We are from Ukraine. Kherson is Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. Mr. Serhii, what's the situation in Kherson region? What's going on? Did today's Russia strike cover the Kherson region? I mean, the occupied areas of Kherson region as well. Yes, the situation is still complicated. The occupants continue to escalate the situation with the so-called evacuation. They keep deporting people from the right bank part of Kherson region, and at the same time, they commit absolute pillage of residential areas, of government institutions, government facilities, medical facilities. They pillage everything. They steal everything, ambulance, cars, other vehicles to the left bank of Kherson region. They deport people from Berislav. The population of Berislav mentioned the increase in concentration of Russian troops in Berislav. I will remind you that the city of Berislav is located near the Kakhovska hydraulic power plant dam. The occupants walk around the residential areas, taking everything from the people, stealing, extorting food and vodka. A lot of people from Berislav left for the right bank. And talking about the left bank occupants there as well as in the right bank, the occupants start forcing people to leave. Talking about Nova Kakhovka, many people were forcibly sent to Arbatska Strilka, and they were allocated in the sanatoriums, but on a paid basis. So they were told nobody will get any free bulletin. So now we all understand that the financial situation, people's personal financial situation in some cases is critical, and some people who were in panic, they were brought to the Krasnodar region in Russia, and the connection was lost for some time with them. Now that their communication was reestablished, the people told that they're in Krasnodar region, and they were saying that they were first offered some certificates, but then they were allocated in their refugee camps, and people start to try to find ways to go back home from those camps. Talking about Kherson direction, the occupants in the left bank of Kherson region starting from Hola Pristan and even all the way to Kingsburska Kosa and all the way to Nova Kakhovka, they start setting up fortification installations along the bank. They keep digging on a 24 hours basis. They dig in the material. The village of Tavrisky, near the village of Chuvakivka, the occupants entered this small village, and they told the people to leave because they will locate a military base there, and a lot of heavy material is about to arrive. So if they don't leave now, they will be forcibly deported from the village in future. And the same signals are being received all in other villages of Kherson region. So the occupants start to forcibly deprive people of their dwellings. They start allocating their military personnel in residential areas, in actually private houses. Mr. Serhii, we've heard a statement recently from the occupants that they give the residents of Kherson 2 days to leave. What does it tell us? Does it tell us that after that they will cut all the ways to leave for the people? Yes, the occupants mentioned, and from their statements we can say that this so-called evacuation is already over, but they say they will provide transportation and that there is a schedule of vessels which move from Golopristan to Novakhovka, and whoever has their personal vehicles, their personal transport, they can cross the river near Artonovsky Mist with a barge crossing and through pontoon bridge near Antonivsky Bridge. For the moment, the occupants, they maintain the activity in this crossing, and their statements are only to cause panic, to have most people leave Kherson and the right bank part of Kherson region. It's difficult to say if they will be providing further transportation. But now the people who are left in Kherson are those who decided to wait for the armed forces of Ukraine, to wait for the liberation, just like in the rest of the right bank of Kherson region. All those who panicked, who upon some other their reflections left to the left bank, we cannot see a big line, a big queue of people. So there is no jam, no crowds of people living to be observed. Mr. Serhii, can we estimate the number of the citizens left in the right bank? Well, it's pretty difficult to give this estimate because people listen to the advice of the armed forces and they don't move around the region, don't move around Kherson, and we have to understand that the occupants increase pressure on the local population. They intensify the filtration activities, so it's difficult to estimate how many people are left in the right bank for the time being. Recently we've heard another statement from the occupants. It was said that the occupants already declared that they will check the telephones of the local citizens, and in Novakhovka the similar information emerged. And it was told that the occupants, they listened to the telephones of the Ukrainians. Yes, internet was absent in Kherson for a week. It just started going back up, and we see big lines near the internet providers' outlets for setting up communication. There was only Russian cell carriers operating, and the occupants used this to listen to the conversations of Ukrainian citizens, to understand the mood of the population who stayed at their homes, even notwithstanding that the Ukrainians were using VPN services. It was pretty complicated anyway, and gave it was glitching and with delays, so it gives us understanding that the Russians established the full control over the conversations, over the communication of the people, and internet is coming back up in the home region again now. Dear colleagues, your questions. Good afternoon, Irina Momcher, Ukrinform. I have a couple of questions. First, regarding Kherson, the regional center. You said we cannot estimate the number of the people left there. Can you please tell us, in your opinion, for those people who are left waiting for the armed forces in Kherson, are they risking to find themselves encircled or blocked? Is there a risk of them having the same fate as Mariupol? Well, you know, it's difficult to forecast activities of the occupants, but we see different information. There is different information. We've heard some information from our intelligence that the occupants are preparing for the street skirmishes, but the citizens of Kherson report that they don't observe any preparation works. We have a mentioning of fortification installations being set up along the bank, but not in the city itself. Is it possible that the occupants will use some provocations? So they're already doing it. There were detonations in the police units, 2 police departments recently, and they did it to create a propaganda picture, calling it the provocation, calling it an act of terrorism, and they may continue to use this practice in residential areas as well. So yes, it's necessary to understand that there is a risk, but people understand it as well, and they were called to take care of having some safe place to hide. We understand that we can expect anything from Russians. And another question is about the left bank of Kherson region, in fact, where the occupants forcibly, so to say, evacuate or called them to evacuate to. Can you please tell us? Like you're telling now already that they call people to evacuate from the left bank as well, but there is other information that there is a mass concentration of people there. Is it true that there is a large concentration of population, or is there a risk that they will be used as the live shield, as our enemies like to do? Yes, there is a probability of that, but talking about the city of Kherson, the occupants deported people to the sanatoriums of Skadovsk region and the Golopristan region. Talking about Berislav and Novokakhovka, the occupants deport people from Kakhovka as well, and they move people to Arbatska Strilka behind Genishevsk. I'm talking about those who don't want to live to Russia, and those who live to Russia, they are being moved to Krasnodar region, and they're being located in the refugee camps set up there. And there are reports of people staying in those refugee camps and looking for ways to come back because they cannot get normal conditions for staying there, even on a temporary basis. But there is information of people being forcibly deported from their houses. The occupants forcibly take away the private property of the people and allocate their military personnel in there, and they dig trenches along the bank of the Dnieper, all the way, not only to the dam of Kakhovska hydraulic power plant, but mostly they start pushing people out of the cities and villages located near Dnieper. We get the signals about this from Kakhovka, Nova Kakhovka, Казачі лагері, Гола Пристань, and from Oleshki. I will specify, excuse me, is it right, is it correct how we understand that the majority of people are left in the right bank, and those who were relocated to the left bank, they and those who left to Russia, they try to come back? Yes, that's true. The majority of population remain on the left bank, and the occupants said they deported 30,000 people to Russia. This is another lie of the occupants. According to our assessments, they so to say evacuated 5,000 to 6,000 people, because they were carrying about 1,000 people on a daily basis, so it would make about 5,000 to 6,000 in total. But they still cannot come back. They're looking for the ways to return, looking for the ways how to do it, but they are still in Krasnodar region. And the last question about the occupied part of Kherson region. Can you please say a few words about the humanitarian situation there? What is done, what is about to be done, what's still missing and lacking? Notwithstanding the fact that the occupants continue their permanent shelling of those areas, the electric power supply is being re-established there. Ukrposhta, National Post Service departments are being reopened, the aid is being delivered, internet and mobile networks are being redeployed in the areas. The inhabitants of the cities and villages are being provided with humanitarian aid, food. The local administrations provide people with coal and timber, and the works are in progress to provide people with more or less comfortable, to the extent that it's possible now, entrance into winter, in the winter period. Mr. Serhii, and the last question, we got the information that there about 100 Rosgvardia personnel arrived to Kalanchak from Groznoho. Yeah, I've seen that statement. For what I understand, they arrived to replace another 100 of Kadyrov troops, to replace those who were brought to the other side by our cotton. And this is the situation which happens all around the front lines of the Russian troops in their ranks. And these Rosgvardia Kadyrov troops, they are just the replacement for those who were recently destroyed. Mr. Serhii, are they getting medical treatment in Kherson region? We understand that there were mass losses, not only those killed but also injured. Are they being carried out? Are they being evacuated to the occupied areas, or are they being treated in Kherson? All the medical institutions, all the medical facilities were relocated to the left bank. They have field hospitals, but those heavily injured are being carried to the left bank. The hospitals in Kalanchak, Henichesk and Skadovsk, which are located a little bit further, they They don't see hospitals of Kakhovka and Nova Kakhovka as the hospitals which can provide medical treatment and medical aid to the injured. I want to thank you for joining our air. I will remind you we had Serhii Khlan with us, the deputy of Kherson Regional Council. Dear colleagues, our next briefing is at 14:30. We will talk about the grand mailing. Believe in our armed forces, stay with us and work for victory together.